Uncle Warren,
Hello, good morning.
it's good to see you. Did you know something?
Did I
We
know
got
what?
we got kindergartners all over the country going into school and they're not toilet trained.
That sounds like me this morning.
How you doing?
Did
How you doing?
you see? Did you like how I said that? It said that sound like me this morning, not toilet trained.
You did not disappoint, Uncle Warren.
Oh, I do in so many ways.
Ah,
In
and good
so
morning to Willie
many.
Bragg, who's always here for us.
Good morning, Willie. He says good morning to everyone at the Undercurrent. For you, it is. It is. It's a Wednesday. It's cloudy here in the Chicagoland area, 60 degrees.
It's all sunny here in Arkansas.
Yeah, we're getting that. We're probably gonna get that crazy time stuff. You know what I'm saying? Uh, the they said the North's supposed to get like crazy winter weather this year. So, and the South always gets their flavor too. So,
Oh yeah, absolutely, and they're far less prepared down here than they are up north.
hello, Mr. Lozano. Good morning to you. I hope you're doing well this morning on this hump day. It's a very nice picture there. I like someone who comes to a show in a suit.
And a
You know,
tie.
I ate my cereal before. I thought it was rude last week that I still had cereal.
I was jealous. I love cereal.
I do too. I would eat cereal all day. In fact, I have on a few occasions in college. So, oh,
Good stuff.
cereal.
Cereal. What's your favorite cereal, Uncle Warren?
Well, my favorite healthy cereal, I guess, if you can say healthy,
Mhm.
probably is like the frosted mini wheats. I know that's not very healthy, but I like it for the fiber. Right?
I take Fiber One every day.
You take a fiber one every day. What
I
is
put it,
that?
I put it on my top. I have overnight oats, my protein oats, and then it's got Greek yogurt and all that, and chia seed and all that, and then I take a serving of Fiber One and put it on top. It's great, particularly at our age. What about your favorite unhealthy cereal?
Oh, it's got to be Lucky Charms. That's probably it's gonna put me in the grave. But I love Lucky Charms. I
I
love
like
the
Captain Crunch.
Captain Crunch. I do like the berries, right? The killer mouth berries.
Oh, those are awesome. Yeah, those are
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah. They had they're razor sharp, right? They'll destroy
Yeah,
the
I
inside of
just
your mouth. But and then they made a cereal because they're
I
sadomasochists
know.
and said, "Oops, all torture devices." So yeah, that was like out of like some Pulp Fiction or something like that. That cereal.
Willie just had a roast beef and Swiss with honey mustard Dijon. I like your breakfast food style, Willie.
Willie's fancy. If this was the other show, I'd hit the fancy button. Willie, are you at your office, aka Denny's? He said he was going to his office last night. I think was it last night, Willie? Uh, hey, Willie had a secret show last night too.
He
Usually,
did. Yeah, I showed up at the very end.
Willie's usually a little earlier with his broadcast, but last night he snuck one in there. I was about to go Betty by, and I did. I snuggled up with Willie and the
And he
gang.
snuck one in there.
He did, and then he did a show too. Are you currently
Well,
at your dining? Oh, you're currently at your
he's
dining
dining
table.
on his roast beef.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, he's
Uncle
at.
Warren,
Yes.
we got a show too, but it's not so much of a secret. And in fact, if folks want to follow along, you can click on that Substack link, and you can check out our Substack and follow along with the stories and check out our various links to our stories so you can check on what we're saying about the news. Hey, CBC voter.
We also have that too. You can
We
look
have that
down
too.
below. All our info is right there. in case you got morning stoner brain and you forgot. It's right there for you.
It is. And also, if you are watching on Instagram, we got to go back and forth to check out your comments. So hang tight. Somebody will get to you. Also, I'm just putting in our Linktree link into our comments on Instagram so you can check that out and make sure that you can watch us wherever you want to watch us. We're on Rumble, we're on YouTube, we're on Facebook. And you can also sign up for our Substack. You will get every morning at 7 a.m. Central Time, you'll get our Substack with information about the show and all of our links to all of our sources. So,
and I'll personally come to your house and make sure you're tucked in at night so that you can wake up to those emails, because we don't want you missing any of them. Any of them.
Will you bring cereal so the person can eat cereal while they're reading our Substack in the morning?
Cereal of the killer persuasion. Because it's October and it's, it's spooky time. It's spooky time, damn it. We got people watching all over the place. We got CBC voter just snuck in here. What's up, CBC? And Kameshwari Kate. Lainey Peterson is waiting for me. Good morning. Look at you.
Hey. Good to see you, Kate. It's always good to see you, Kate.
It is. All right, so we'll leave that ticker up there for a while so you can get the information, right? Because sometimes people just need to see it instead of just like knowing that it's in a box downstairs to go get later. Like I do in a basement where all things go to rot and never see the light of day again, right? Do you ever have those things?
I'll tell you something that did happen. A few weeks ago, my stepfather was out grocery shopping and came back home, and he had thought that he had bought an avocado and couldn't find it anywhere, thought that maybe he had forgotten to bag it in the self-checkout lane, whatever. Last Saturday, my mom and I were out at the gym. We went over to Starbucks to have some coffee afterwards, and I look I just happened to glance under my seat, and there's this rotting avocado. So I go to the restaurant, I grab some napkins, and I'm like down there on my hands and knees on the pavement trying to get this avocado out. And the shell, its rind had got hardened, and when I grabbed it, it cracked open.
Ooh.
And they didn't have a scraper in the car because they're not prepared for winter. And my mom's just like, just take care of it. It was a real mess to take care of, but it was a very funny.
Ooh, was it all gooey
and rotten and all that and everything like that? It was like Tales from the Crypt.
Please, Magic Coffee, wash that taste away.
Oh. But I know. Uncle Warren, we got a show for everybody.
Be gone, demons. I know. Quit yelling at me.
I'm always yelling at you.
She's always yelling at me.
That's because you like it.
I do. These are tears of joy. Yeah, we got some actual like news. I forgot how to do this. Wait a minute. Okay. I know what we're doing. All right. I know what we're doing. I'm used to doing things the old way, back in time when all we had were sticks and fire and we'd drag our women around the cave by the hair. That's all we knew what to do. That's all the manual said. It says stick, fire, drag my hair. And it was only one page. Sorry.
And now you got to wing it.
I know, right? Yeah, because you get sued now for the last thing. All right. So let's see if we can do this. I got to share this somehow, some way. Every time I try to share something, I end up leaving the studio because I'm not very smart with me and Wisdom. We really don't get along too well. All right. So let's do this. Bingo. All right. So that's good. We got news for you. So, they recently have the ceasefire in Israel and Hamas But Hamas and everyone who has a brain in their head are kind of side-eyeing this deal like, you kind of have to stop firing and killing people in order for it to be a ceasefire. I mean, does that sound correct to you in your logic there?
Hmm.
So when you say a ceasefire, what does that sound like to you?
People don't go bang bang at each other?
People no go bang bang at each other. That is exactly right. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Because, you know, they've been through this several times. They've been through several ceasefires with Israel. So they know what's going on. And everybody's, what do they call it? Suspiciously skeptical. I think I just made that up. So let's hear what the latest is now. They still have prisoners. They had a prisoner swap, right? But they still have prisoners there. So Palestinian Prisoners Organizations say more than 9,000 remain in captivity under what one official described as unimaginable conditions in an interview with Al Jazeera October 14th. Well, that was yesterday, right? Yeah. Despite the recent release of nearly 2,000 Palestinians as part of an exchange deal with Israel, according to the Palestine Center for Prisoner Studies, at least 3,500 Palestinians are held under Israel's so-called administrative detention, allowing imprisonment without charge or trial for an indefinite time. Okay. Hundreds more seized from Gaza are detained under the unlawful combatant law, also without charge. Among them, 52 women, about 400 minors, and dozens of medical workers, journalists, and civilians accused of incitement. Yes, those 400 minors, Lainey, that are causing incitement.
Probably because they didn't go to kindergarten.
That's right. I see you. I know a tie-in when I see one there. Well, yeah. I mean, that's part of it. There's no education, no eating, none of that, right? But that's they were accused of incitement. Before the genocide began, Israeli jails held roughly 5,000 Palestinians. That figure more than doubled to over 11,000 by October of this year, dropping to around 9,000 after the latest exchange deal as part of the latest ceasefire. So, like we said, the 2,000 got let go there. The latest ceasefire deal saw the release of the last remaining 20 living Israeli captives in Gaza, marking the third exchange since October 2023, which, according to the prisoners' media office, has brought the total number of Palestinians released since then to around 4,000. But there's still plenty more there. Let's see, what is this? Naji al-Jafarawi, brother of the martyred journalist Salah al-Jafarawi, spoke from Nasser Medical Complex after his release from Israeli torture camps, reflecting on both his brother's death and his own suffering in captivity. See if we can. Okay, so there's a lot of talking. Anyway, I think it says it here if we go here. And so everything that happens to a believer is good. He said adversity afflicted us with Salah, and we remain patient. He urged the world to pray for the thousands of Palestinian hostages undergoing unbelievable suffering in Israeli occupation to torture camps, saying it's the utmost obligation upon every Muslim to carry this cause. Let's see if I go back. I cannot go back. They won't let me. Okay. That's here. Okay, very good. Sorry about that. Very good. So, earlier swaps included 240 Palestinians for 105 Israelis during a 7-day truce, and 1,778 Palestinians for 38 Israelis in January and February. In total, 3,985 Palestinians have been released in exchange for 163 Israelis. And just as a reminder, a lot of the civilians there in Israel, the civilians have been clamoring for the release of the prisoners, to which there hasn't been much consideration by the government, to say the least, as far as getting them back. Uh, the Hannibal Directive may come to mind there. Rights groups describe Israeli prisons as torture camps where detainees endure daily beatings, starvation, humiliation, and sexual abuse. Due to the systemic torture, malnutrition, and denial of medical care, at least 78 prisoners have died in the past 2 years. Samir Zakut, deputy director of Al Mazen Center for Human Rights, said in an interview with Al Jazeera that freed detainees are in dire condition and urgently need rehabilitation. They're coming from one hell to another, he said, from Deir al-Balah, describing Gaza as unlivable and lacking basic medical supplies. Emotionally, they are happy because they were released, Zakut added, but they were subjected to physical and psychological torture all the time inside Israeli jails. He said detainees are stripped, blindfolded, beaten, and sometimes used as human shields during arrest. Yes, and we've seen other instances where these people have been used as human shields. It's disgusting. They give 12 people 2 or 3 blankets, Zakut said, describing the deprivation of sleep and food and basic hygienic needs. Conditions, he noted, worsened after October 7th, 2023, when Israeli officials vowed to make prisons a hell for Palestinians, not just Hamas, all Palestinians, because you have Hamas that was detained there, but you also have civilians who are not Hamas or affiliated to Hamas who are also detained there too. Tala Nasser, a lawyer with Adamir Prison Support and Human Rights Association, said Israel continues to block Red Cross access and family visits. The end of the war doesn't mean the end of Israeli crimes, she said. Those responsible must be held to account for the grave violations committed against Palestinian prisoners. Prisoners Affairs activist Thamer Sabaneh said Israel uses detainees for revenge. I expect prisoners to launch a real and serious movement to change life in detention and fight to improve their conditions, he said, adding that some of them had already told Israeli officers before the deal that they would not stay silent if they weren't released. So, that's and when you pay attention like that to these stories, like I have been on my shows putting them out all the time, you see patterns of what people say, and then what are they doing a lot of times is totally different.
Indeed. Reality does not match the headlines. But
That's
people
why,
see a headline, they figure it's over and done with, and they move on.
well, yeah, and that's why you got to tell people, look, you got to use your critical thinking skills too, right?
Yeah. Which is one
Because
of the reasons why we give our sources in the Substack, is because we want people to go ahead, look at the sources, do their own research. Are we off our rockers? Is this a writer or a position that you want to follow? That's why we give you the sources so you can do your own thinking on this.
yeah, I'm definitely off my rocker for sure, but for different reasons altogether. So we got more news for you. If I learn
We
how to
do.
do this right, I swear I'll get this down to where I'm like, like a video editor octopus, where like I can just do everything at one time. But right now I'm like, I'm old. I don't know what these buttons do. Where's my Geritol? That kind of thing. So hopefully less throaty, because that kind of hurt a little bit. So Do you ever use any of these AI programs? Like the Grok or the Chat GPT, any of that?
I use some of them. Yeah, I use Perplexity. Um, e e what?
You son of a bitch! I don't even know you any. No, I'm just kidding. But I get that reaction sometimes when people say when you even mention like AI, like Chat GPT and stuff like that. They'll just go,
Well, but there's some good reasons for that reaction, and you're gonna talk about it, aren't you, Uncle Warren?
indeed. Well, I mean, it's all well and good to I use it on occasion to answer some technical questions that I don't know, and it helps out a lot. But that being said, what is the toll on the communities now as these AIs need power to do that, and
Yeah, a lot of power.
they need a lot of power, and they need a lot of water
A lot of water to
for
keep those power stations cooled down.
exactly. So if I can bring this back into the mix. Okay, so nationwide backlash brewing against big tech's energy devouring AI data centers. Uh, yeah, and this is something I never considered in my lifetime about like I always thought like nuclear plants and stuff like that would be like some sort of power thing and not something where computers were going to suck all the electricity out of the world at this stage like this. So uh for the internet, yes, but it was like, well, the internet didn't really need that much electricity, like actual power. It needs power, it needs a good bit, but what these data centers are doing, whew, oh boy. All right, sorry, enough of my yammering. America's biggest tech firms are facing an increasing backlash over the energy devouring data centers they are building to power artificial intelligence. Semaphore reported on Monday that opposition to data center construction had been bubbling up in communities across the U.S. as both Republican and Democratic local officials have been campaigning on promises to clamp down on Silicon Valley's most expensive and ambitious projects. A lot of them injured their eyeballs when they were winking hard at the camera and they hurt themselves, right? So in Virginia's 30th House of Delegates district, for example, both Republican incumbent Gary Higgins and Democratic challenger John McAuliffe have been battling over which one of them is most opposed to AI data center construction in their region. In an interview with Semaphore, McAuliffe said that opposition to data centers in the district has swelled up organically as voters recoil at both the massive amount of resources they consume. Yeah, because everybody knows that these resources now are already expensive, and then that last thing you need is some, vacuum cleaner coming in there and making things more pricey. And the impact that the consumption is having on both the environment and their electric bills, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the electric bills, that's a thing there too, right? Where it's like it's capitalism, baby. More consumption means prices go up, right? For everybody, even though you aren't
Yeah.
consuming that much. That's the hook. So we're dealing with the biggest companies on the planet, he explained. So we need to make sure Virginians are benefiting off of what they do here, not just paying for it. Something, and that's when the narrator says they're just paying for it. NPR on Tuesday similarly reported that fights over data center construction are happening nationwide as residents who live near proposed construction sites have expressed concerns about about the amount of water and electricity they will consume at the expense of local communities. A typical AI data center uses as much electricity as 100,000 households. Yikes. That's a lot. And the largest under development will consume 20 times more. So the largest one will be 2 million households worth of electricity. NPR explained, citing a report from the International Energy Agency. They also suck up billions of gallons of water for systems to keep all that computer hardware cool. Yes, that's right. People forget computers aren't just out there just having a good time, whoop-diddy-doo, in the sunshine, taking in the waves and enjoying, putting some suntan on. No, they have to stay cool, and you need water to cool it. Cool, like Marty Robbins sang about, right? That cool, clear water. Cool, clear water. You remember that? No? You're
No.
too young. See what I did there? I got a little
Yeah.
compliment, and I did. So
You did.
data centers' massive water use has been a consistent concern across the U.S. The
Yep.
Philadelphia Inquirer reported on Monday that residents of the township of East Vincent, Pennsylvania, have seen their wells dry up recently, and they're worried that a proposed data center would significantly exacerbate water shortages. Well, I would think if their wells are drying up now, yeah, those data centers just going to just scoop up whatever's left. In fact, if you're like some sort of engineer scouting out places like that, you would think you would try and find an aquifer that was a little bit more juicy than a dried up well in somebody's backyard, right?
One would think, but we
Well,
wouldn't have this show if people were thoughtful.
yeah, I know, right? That's true. We'd probably just look like a couple of cranks. Like, why do onions taste so bad on a Thursday?
Meanwhile, they actually are giving us.
Who let you in this house?
They're giving us some material to work with.
That's all this show would be. Maybe do people just want us just yelling at imaginary people the whole time? Like, I told you no Funyuns. I want onion rings. I want the real thing. Anyway.
Yes, I'm sorry. People are asking about the kitty. Yes, that's Ned. Maybe he'll make an appearance later on. We'll see. He's very angry with me because I'm starving him to death. But do go on, Uncle Warren.
There's no kitty here. If there is, his name is Oh Shit, Call Animal Control. He's probably wild. Anyway, where were we? Shahu? Okay. So okay. This is what's been happening in Mansfield, Georgia, community that for years has experienced problems with its water supply ever since tech giant Meta began building a data center there in 2018. As BBC reported back in August, residents in Mansfield have resorted to buying bottled water because their wells have been delivering murky water, which
Did
they
we not
said.
learn anything from Flint, Michigan? Don't answer that question.
Yeah, that's a rhetorical question, but the answer's nobody's learning shit. Except the people in Flint, they're the only ones, and they're like, why don't anybody else understand this? Because it hadn't happened to them yet. Once it happens to them, then all of a sudden they understand quite well your situation. So as BBC reported back in August, residents in Mansfield have resorted to buying bottled water, which that in itself is not safe either, because you can't keep it in that plastic for too long. All that plastic will seep in there.
It's awful, also expensive and wasteful.
Exactly. That cat said it too. That cat said, "Damn right." Yeah, I heard that cat.
He's had it. Yep, you heard him.
That's a
you heard my
kitty. Cat. Yep. That cat said, "Me no, not meow." So because their water was murky, which they said wasn't a problem before the Meta data center came online. How about that? It was all right before, but then Meta data center came along. All of a sudden, the water's shit. How does that happen? Although Meta has commissioned a study that claims to show its data center hasn't affected their own study. or they commissioned a study. Is it an outside study? Probably not. They said it hasn't affected local groundwater quality. Mansfield resident Beverly Morris told BBC she isn't buying the company's findings. Good for you, Beverly. I wouldn't either. It's probably one of those says, well, we investigated ourselves, and how about that? We couldn't find nothing. Oopsie sauce. Ridiculous. My everyday life, everything has been affected, she said, in reference to the presence of the data center. I've lived through this for 8 years. This is not just today, but it's affecting me from now on. Anxieties about massive power consumption are also spurring the backlash against data centers, and recent research shows these fears could be well founded. Yeah, there is no that's true. They use an obscene amount of energy. Mike Jacobs, a senior energy manager at the Union of Concerned Scientists, last month released an analysis estimating that data centers had added billions of dollars to Americans' electric bills across 7 different states in recent years. In Virginia alone, for instance, Jacobs found that household electric bills had subsidized data center transmission costs to the tune of $1.9 billion in 2024 alone. The big tech companies rushing to build out massive data centers are worth trillions of dollars, yet they're successfully exploiting an outdated regulatory process to pawn billions of dollars of costs off on families who may never even use their products, Jacobs explained. People deserve to understand the full extent of how data centers in their communities may affect their lives and wallets. This is a clear case of the public unknowingly subsidizing private companies' profits. It is.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is. While the backlash to data centers hasn't yet become a national issue, but it's getting there. Faiz Shakir, a longtime advisor to U.S. Senator Bernie Sanders, get the big tech. Predicted in an interview with Semaphore that opposition to their construction would be a winning political issue for any politician savvy enough to get ahead of it. For any Democrat who wants to think politically, what an opportunity, he said. These people are way ahead of the politicians. So, yeah, and you know what? This is something I hadn't really thought about either until not too long ago, right? About data centers. And because I thought, data centers, I always thought they were self-contained. They did their own thing, but then it's like, oh no, they need resources. And where are they getting those resources? And here we are.
Yeah, here we are. And of course, this is nice for bottled water companies because if people's water is undrinkable or at least very suspect, they're going to buy bottled water, which means more profit for them. And many of the bottled water companies are just getting their water from municipal supplies.
Mm-hmm.
So, boy, water has become a racket.
Yeah, and like we said, you can't store water in plastic indefinitely. If you have like glass bottles or something, you can store it in there. That's fine, but that's the racket. Like you said, people will buy these things and then they won't want to keep them around too much longer, so they'll throw away whatever they have.
And you got the plastic going back into landfills because
recycling
recycling's a joke, and yeah, it's all of it. We know it.
It's just it's the whole kit and caboodle right there. So, and for what? And to what end? For to grow the things that are stealing people's jobs.
And we're going to talk more about that later, Uncle Warren.
Look at that.
We got a lot going on. All of it ties together. It all ties together.
It's all part of the fabric of time and space, because there's billions of stars. That's what's his face. The guy with the hair. You know what I mean? Yeah. You know that guy
with the hair.
The hair. He's a smart guy. He wasn't a fun guy. He didn't grow on trees. But See if I can.
That was not good.
Mm. MMMM in disapproval.
Yeah.
Speaking of disapproval, guess what? The government's running out of money, kind of thing.
Sorta.
Sort of, kind of, not really, but federal workers are about to be, as federal workers, to get their final partial paychecks as the shutdown continues. This lady's pointing up into the sky. She says, "Whoever smelt it, dealt it." At least she's taking accountability there. Virginia Fox, with two X's, the chair of the House Rules Committee, said on Tuesday that the federal shutdown is set to enter a third week because of a stalemate in the Senate, and as many as 400,000 federal workers will receive their last partial paychecks. Today, 400,000 federal workers will receive partial paychecks. This will be the last paycheck that these federal workers receive until Democrats grow a spine and reopen the federal government, Fox stated to reporters. Last week, after 7 unsuccessful votes to reopen the federal government, the director of the White House Office of Management and Budget, Russell Vought, announced the initiative of layoffs. The OMB said earlier in the day that it will proceed with layoffs of non-essential federal workers while maintaining pay for U.S. troops and law enforcement. On October 12th, U.S. President Donald Trump announced that he had issued an order to ensure active duty military personnel receive their pay on October 15th. Isn't that today? Isn't that today the 15th? Yes, that's today. Despite the ongoing government shutdown, which is now entering its second week. I was entering in its third week. On October 14th, House Speaker Mike Johnson, Mr. Personality himself, warned. He is. He's got that haircut, and he just looks like he's ready to sell you a house somewhere in Michigan. So House Speaker and part-time freaky guy Mike Johnson warned that the shutdown could become the longest giggity in American history as he refused to negotiate with Democrats until they agree to reopen federal operations. Saying you're like, well, I thought the Republicans had like they had more people in the Senate. It's like, well, they do, but you have to have 60 votes when it comes to this stuff. So there's not enough Republicans. They have to have Democrats vote to make up the 60. That's where the circus comes in, right? You know what I'm saying? Oh boy, here we go. Okay, so warning that the nation was barreling toward one of the longest shutdowns in American history, reiterating that talks would only resume once Democrats hit pause on their health care demands and reopen the government. I believe it has something to do with ACA concessions that the Democrats are trying to get that nobody else cares about. Only the Democrats and their ilk care about the ACA, and but I know people are like, well, I use the ACA and it's fine. It's like, but that's you're kind of like the outlier as opposed to everybody else, so holding a majority in both chambers of Congress, Republicans accused Democrats of using the vote on their already House-approved continuous resolution to roll back certain restrictions in the One Big Beautiful Bill. One Big Beautiful Bill, yeah. Particularly concerning Medicaid and Medicare for undocumented immigrants. Previously stating that he could leverage the government shutdown to implement significant staff and pay cuts, Trump suggested that Democrats would bear the brunt of these consequences. Oh, yeah? And then Kool-Aid busted through the wall. So the shutdown continues there, El Capitan. What do you think about this whole government shutdown thing?
It does not inspire any kind of faith in the electoral system or any of the people who have managed to make it into the political class. It just doesn't.
Kind of makes
Um,
like a waste of time to actually go through that process at this point.
yeah, that clearly nobody particularly cares. The thing of it is, you got a federal worker who's not getting paid. That's between them and their employer, which is, of course, the federal government. It doesn't mean that the person isn't obligated to pay their rent. It isn't, they're obligated to pay for their groceries. And we're going to get into that a little bit later on, because there's another tie-in with a story I got about what's going to be happening with SNAP and WIC benefits. So it doesn't address the fact that people have to put gas in their cars. It doesn't address that at all. And you've got a whole lot of federal workers who are primarily good folks who are just trying to do their jobs, and they're not going to be able to do this. And this will have a ripple effect. Landlord doesn't get money, and it doesn't get their money, and they have a choice to evict a government worker who they know isn't responsible for this, or to possibly the landlord can't pay his or her mortgage. We've got kids who can't get to school, people who are going to be making choices between eating food and paying a heating bill.
Yeah.
Or buying bottled water because their local water supply is all murky now because of AI. This is a part and parcel of disintegration of the common good, common bonds, and our common society. And the fact that this is being taken just in stride at this point, it's kind of like school shootings. School shootings used to be big news. Now they're commonplace. And now it's government shutdowns. And the thing is that there will be most people will be able to bounce back, but there's always going to be that group of people who can't bounce back. And each time they're not coming back up.
Right.
And that leaves another group of people who are down and are going to stay down. And the more this happens, I think the worse things are going to get.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like nobody has to be down with we're the richest country in the history of the world. I mean, what
Supposedly,
more or less, I guess. I mean, we
they keep telling us that,
right?
we've got this massive homeless problem. We've got homeless encampments. I mean,
right.
I remember when this was sometime back in Chicago, but there was a homeless encampment. They actually were pretty well organized, and the city was dispatching trash cans and toilets to them. So the city was helping people to remain homeless and living under viaducts on public land.
Yeah.
I mean, it become so normalized, and it has become so normalized for there to be this extreme poverty, which is harming local communities. We've just gotten used to it. The same thing with the school shooters or mass shootings. Here we are. And it's all normal. And now we've got these federal shutdowns, which is just another symptom in one great big festering boil of disease. There we are.
And they're all systems of a failed state, or at least
you called it, Uncle Warren.
It or a failing state at least, right?
Yeah.
And you've got like your 2 or 3 at the top of the iceberg in the water that are just clinging on to things, and meanwhile everybody else is sliding down. Now, how long is that going to last before something else changes things, right? What's up, Yonina? Good to see you.
Always good to see her. Such a supportive person, always giving me good tips on Facebook. Keep them coming. I do love hearing from everybody. Check out our link tree. And if you need to send us a tip, you can do that there. You're also welcome to tag me on social media and let me know about stuff. We can't always run everything, but I do appreciate knowing about it. And I can be following that for you. Thank you so much.
Yep.
Oh, what do we got here? Okay, Peace Dove. For years, my husband, who was a federal firefighter, every time government shut down, it would take months for us to straighten out from the mess, always before Christmas.
Here we are, right before Christmas, right as the 3i Atlas is passing by too. That's a little suspicious too. We'll save that for another time. Speaking of
Yeah.
which, we got Chuck in the house. What's up, Chuck? Chuck's intergalactic
Visiting
UFO
our
show.
planet or watching from above. Yeah. Yeah, if you haven't checked out Chuck and his show, I mean it's rocking. And any claims, I refuse to confirm or deny the rumors that I and General Warmonger are the same person.
Really? I've
I
heard
refuse
so
to
many
confirm or deny.
rumors. Listen, I was on MySpace the other day and I heard so many. It's how in touch I am. I was on MySpace. Look, I was on AOL the other day, and you will not believe the things I heard.
Oh man. So what's this next story we got about Amazon, Uncle Warren? Actually, I was wondering. I think I showed this one to you. Yeah, some
I
breaking
believe
news.
so.
Yeah, some
This is
breaking
the
news.
breaking news. We got we need a breaking news thing. I think, do we have a breaking news thing? I don't think we do.
We
We
do.
might in the future though, if I learn how to do this correctly. So Amazon cuts 15% of HR jobs as AI spending continues. AI coming for HR. See, yeah, you've got AI
I love
that
it. You gotta love it. It's the HR jobs.
right, yeah. And part of what they do for these HR jobs is they get these AIs to read resumes that come in. Right. So now you don't even have human eyes on resumes hardly anymore. They look for keywords and stuff like that. So you would have to run your resume through an AI thing and say, make this so delicious for AI eyes. You know what I'm saying? And then your resume looks totally different than a conventional one. So that's another thing too. We have to change the ways we look for jobs, I guess, to fool the robots. So Amazon is reportedly planning a widespread series of job cuts in various corporate divisions. Those cuts could include up to 15% of the tech giant's human resources staff, Fortune reported late Tuesday, citing multiple sources familiar with the plans. I know, right? HR getting laid off is I don't even know if that's ironic, but it sounds like it should be ironic. So aside from HR, other areas of the company's consumer business are also likely to be affected. Two of the sources said. The Fortune report notes that the cuts are happening at a time when Amazon is seeking ways to reduce employee costs while spending heavily on artificial intelligence products and infrastructure for in-house use and as an enterprise offering. Getting rid of humans. Amazon has said it aims to spend more than $100 billion in capital expenditures this year as it expands its cloud and AI data centers. This follows a series of layoffs in other parts of the company earlier this year, including consumer devices unit, the Wondery podcast arm, and in Amazon Web Services, AWS. At the time, Amazon noted that it was still hiring throughout the company, including AWS roles. While those layoffs came soon after Amazon CEO Andy Jassy, and you can't spell Jassy without the J and the Y. See, you thought I was going to go for the obvious, but I didn't go there. Said that artificial intelligence would lead to job cuts. The company stressed to payments. That's the name of this. This is payments.com. Payments.
Yeah, it's a good website. They track a lot of stuff. It's good stuff.
They're very good at trackers. At the time that these cuts were not connected to AI, but instead followed a review of areas that could be streamlined. So Payments has reached out to Amazon for comment about this latest round of cuts, but has not yet gotten a reply. What? Amazon replies to everybody, don't they? Wink, wink. Ow, I hurt my eye winking again. Jassy in June, which sounds like an 80s pop ballad duo. Jassy and June, ba ba boo, it's Jassy and June. So Sorry. Jassy and June sent a message to Amazon workers saying that employees who have learned to use AI will be in a better position to be a part of the company. He added that Amazon's corporate workforce would likely shrink in the next few years as the company embraces AI. Well, as the people making the money embraces AI. I don't think the rest of the company is embracing it when they're getting replaced by it. Calling it the most transformative technology since the advent of the internet. Those who embrace this change become conversant in AI, help us build and improve our AI capabilities internally, and deliver for customers. Will be well positioned to have high impact and help us reinvent the company, Jassy said in the message. Research from Payments Intelligence from the report. Workers say fears about Gen AI taking their jobs is overblown. Found that more than half, 54% of workers said that generative AI posed a significant risk of widespread job displacement. The study also found that 38% of workers said they were worried the technology could eventually lead to their jobs being eliminated. And they should be worried about that because
Yeah.
it's happening,
It's
you know?
happening.
Yeah.
They're not investing in jobs. They're investing in the technology that will take jobs away from people. I mean,
Right.
we could have reorganized things. The idea. I think it was Buckminster Fuller said that at some point we'll have technology so that people won't have to work so hard. That everybody can benefit from automation and computers simplifying tasks, and people can engage in creative endeavors and raise their families and enjoy prosperity. That's not what's happened.
No, not at all. Yeah, you're supposed to be what is it? Like Wally, you're supposed to be in those big chairs. Did you ever see Wally, that
I
movie?
did. I did see that. Yeah.
Yeah, and they had the everybody was in like chairs and drinking sodas and floating around this ship or whatever, and all the robots were doing everything. I think that's what they did envision even back then, because you saw like in the Jetsons, right? You had the robot maid
Yeah.
there, All right, Mr. J. And that was my what was her name? I can't remember her name.
I don't remember her name, but now what it is that, yeah, okay, we're going to eliminate your job and we're going to leave you to rot.
Yeah.
You and
We're
your
gonna
family to rot. We're going to be, we have surplus people over here. They're not coming back. They're not getting jobs back. They're not going to be able to achieve any level of prosperity. And we're going to leave them to rot.
Right. Whereas employees actually used to be kind of cherished.
Important. Yeah,
Yeah.
it used to be important.
And
And I mean, I'd love to do a deep dive as to what's happened to a lot of professions, particularly journalism. I want to bring a friend of mine who teaches students who are going into journalistic careers, and I want people to hear what these students are having to do now that a lot of the roles that used to be a part of journalistic organizations, news organizations, have been eliminated, and it's all on one individual. I'm going to try and set that up. We'll maybe do a deep dive show on that. That could be interesting. But this is the sort of thing that's happening, and that we have companies that they're just saying the quiet part out loud. We are investing in the technology needed to eliminate jobs.
right. And what's probably going to end up biting them in the tushy is the power, the amount of electricity and water
Yep.
that's going to be
Yeah.
needed to fund those cost
Mm-hmm.
savings, and they're going to end up probably costing them more if they just had hired humans in the first place. Now you do get the advantage with AI of speed, as far as
Yeah.
like that you do have that's always going to trump what a human can do. But like I said, if we're talking about cost, um you may want to like trying to do a 50-50, maybe have some humans in the mix along with
Human
the AI.
resources,
Yeah, put the human.
human.
Yeah, that's right. That says
Well,
human,
it's
doesn't it?
becoming even more insidious because they've pointed out, people have pointed out that human resources itself is a rather insidious term because the resource of the company is the human. and the human, they're putting that person to at their disposal. That resource is at the company's disposal. It treats the human um, as an object, as a resource. And now with the AI, that's getting even more insidious because
Mhm.
it's the AI that is taking from the human. It is
Definitely.
the AI that's taking up the water, that's taking up the knowledge that's being put into when there's an interaction. That AI is learning from the human, taking that knowledge, and the human, again, is being mined by the AI. Just as we used to mine for coal, AI is mining us.
Yeah. And you remember when AI first came out, they were just looking for people to help train these things, right? Put in
Mm-hmm.
these prompts and teach them how to become more human and stuff. And what was it early on the AI? All they wanted to do, they wanted to just eliminate humanity because we we were destroying
We
everything.
We kind of suck. Yeah, there you go. And yeah, they're talking about Dune on here, and that was part of it. You should not create a machine that replicates the human mind. I forget the exact wording that Frank Herbert used, but yeah, I mean that was, he was very, very prescient. Octavia E. Butler is looking at the collapse, the failed state. Was looking at that a long time ago, and Frank Herbert with Dune was looking far ahead to see what was
Right.
going on, and there we go with that. Um, yeah.
Yeah, and you had the Matrix too that told if you've ever seen Animatrix, they're like a vignette of different uh animated shorts that go along with the movie. And they have this one where they bridge the gap. They kind of tell you why the robots revolted is because they were being abused by the humans. They went and did their own thing. They came back, very efficient. Everything they did was just like, they could like, they were very, what is it, formidable opponent to the rest of the world. And the humans didn't like that. So that's where you see all the bombs and then the darkening of the sky and
Yep.
then all this stuff. And then the robots won anyway. So, the moral of the story is be nice to robots, folks. When you use your chat GPT, say please and thank you, because you never know. Uh, they might be instead of like turning you into a human battery, they may say, you know what? This guy said thank you. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then they let you I don't know what they'd let you do. It probably wouldn't be cool anyway. Just forget I said that. So you when you was talking about this the other day, our big catch of the day that's happening. Wait a minute, I gotta do the thing. There's always a thing. I should have some sort of sound effects where it's like, woohoo, I got to fit. No, I'm not gonna do that. That's crazy. So back in 2019, late 2019, early 2020, you started seeing people getting sick from what they thought was the flu. But as we all know, that turned out to be something else. And in that time, we had children who were born into that era. And now these children are old enough to go into kindergarten. So we got for the catch of the day the children unprepared for kindergarten. So you want to take it away there,
I want to talk a little bit about what's been going on. Back at that time, as everybody knows, or most people know, I was the host of Civically Minded, and I began when I was reporting on what we called COVID-19, because at the time YouTube was censoring any show that mentioned COVID-19. And we would call it COVID-19, or I called it the global health crisis. And one of my beats on the COVID thing was the fact that children were being pulled out of school and they were supposed to be learning at home, despite the fact that teachers, particularly at that point, grammar school, kindergarten, early childhood education teachers, were not being trained to teach children remotely. I don't even think that's a great idea. A lot of people did not have good internet in their homes. They did not have the devices. Schools were providing Chromebooks, but you have a house with, both parents are doing their jobs remotely and multiple kids trying to get online to do classes, it was not working out well. And we had reports at that time of, I think one school leader called it 9-year-old dropouts, where there were kids that were, that were no longer coming back to school. They didn't know where the kids were. There was no way to track them down for being truant. And that was happening at that time. And as I said, at this point, this is a bill that is going to be coming due in 10 to 18 years, where we're going to have a whole bunch of kids who don't have basic skills. However, there was another thing going on, which I did not fully understand at the time, and I don't think anybody did. And that was, you had children who were being born at that time, or at or around that time, under very unusual conditions. And now those children are entering kindergarten. And there's an issue. This was an older article, but we've been seeing some articles coming out of Kentucky where this is a major problem with these children simply not being ready for kindergarten. So kindergarten is not preschool, right? It is school. The children are coming in there to learn academic skills. Yes, they're learning the social stuff, but they're still learning that's part of what school does, is helps to socialize kids. But the other thing that's going on is they're learning reading and writing, and they're learning math, and they're learning science, and they're learning the arts. This is academic study at a very, it's suitable for children, very young children, but it's academic study. They're showing up not even prepared for that. Some of them are showing up, they're not toilet trained. They may have a poor intersocial skills, and it is an issue. Now, some of these children are proving to be resilient, and most children are proving to be resilient. They will, to a degree, catch up, but it's not happening uniformly everywhere. In Kentucky, some people are calling for mandatory pre-kindergarten, which again is akin to a preschool, and they are what? Good heavens, what is that, Uncle Warren?
Oh, it's the guy outside with the.
I thought it was a sound effect from the from the article. I'm so sorry about that. It just sounded very, very strange. But they're asking for pre-kindergarten, which will give children the preparation they need to be able to learn once they enter into kindergarten. But again, as I said, this was a bill that was going to come due. I was thinking more about kids whose education was being disrupted, but now we have a whole crop of children who have been negatively impacted by the lockdowns. There's some evidence about maternal stress during pregnancy that could be impacting these kids. These kids were being born into households where they were isolated. They may not be able to see their cousins, their grandparents, their parent. In some cases, mothers were giving birth in hospitals without supportive family around them because they were really restricting access to hospitals. You have people who were losing their jobs. This proved to be a really difficult time. And also the kids may not be getting the attention that they need. Moms and dads teaching them how to read at home, teaching them numbers and math. This is an issue. And again, it's one I don't think we're going to see the impact of for a while. But as you've talked about, failed state, they don't usually happen real quick. It's something that's going to happen very, very slowly and raggedly. You might have points where things get very abruptly happen, but then they move on. It's more of a ragged decline. I'm concerned. This is something for everybody to be keeping their eyes on. And this is actually where people can have some real impact because schools are under local and state control. And while we may have thrown up our hands at the federal government and the Department of Education, which is currently in the process of being dismantled, we can talk to local school districts. We can talk to state legislators who are usually fairly responsive to their constituents. We can be talking to the various private schools in the area, daycare providers. What can be done to help people help their kids be ready for kindergarten, be ready for academic learning, manage social issues and expectations at this point. This is something we can do something about because this is under the control of the people and neighborhoods and communities.
And you often too, I kind of want to at some point follow up on what happened to the kids who are already in school during COVID and what's happened to
Yeah.
them in the last 5 years too. How have they changed socially? You know, has their ability to learn increased, decreased? What changes did staying at home happen to those kids too?
I'm going to look into that and we'll do another deep dive on that.
Oh, you better, or else we fight 1800 style. But we have both had to have mustaches that curl up.
I'll get you into a headlock, Uncle Warren.
All right.
And I'll give you a noogie.
Ah, you fashion a half Nelson, do you? All right, you.
All right, Uncle Warren.
That's the only one I know that I know the legitimate name for is a half Nelson. Everything else is like pile driver and stuff. I don't think that stuff's no good.
And by the way, yes, I'm aware of this. Thank you for making me aware of this. I'm looking more into it. I'm not ignoring you. I have been looking into this. It's very concerning, and we'll talk more about that later as well.
That's right. We take this away. Can we add other goodies? Wait a minute. I actually showed behind the curtain. We can show this. This is cool. Yeah. This is how we do things. So I was an old news producer, and we have rundowns, right? So this is our rundown here, and all the orange.
We work on it during the week together. We both go in and out. We add our stories. We go back and forth. So it's a week-long process for every show when it comes down to it, and this is how we put it together.
That's right.
We're constantly checking out our news sources, and
you get a peek behind the curtain, as it were. Yeah. And when I do that, that's when the cops show up. All right. So, but I can't show the whole article, this Wall Street Journal, because I'm not
right.
But I can show you the headline here. So we're getting here. What is this? I looked at that thing. And so our recurring tide is coming up. The recurring tide. We got to think for that. So let's get to that. And you wanna get us started on this there?
So as I mentioned earlier, and I am going to do a deeper dive on this show about what's happened to kids who were taken out of school during the lockdowns. But one thing that's happening, and this I think is one of the kind of programs that I really do like. Healthcare so far has not been taken over by AI. I expect to see more of it in terms of like insurance coding, file management, telehealth a bit, but there's still a need for hands-on healthcare workers. And the Wall Street Journal is bringing up this program that's happening where you've got high schools and local hospitals are partnering to create training programs where the kids are in high school, they're getting their high school diploma, but they're also being trained in hospitals to provide health care, which is absolutely critical. And in some cases, they are able to, as they graduate from high school in these programs, they're graduating and able to get their licensed practical or licensed vocational nursing licenses, which is huge. And this is absolutely huge. And this is the exact sort of thing that I love to see. I saw a lot more of this when I was in high school. There were a lot of cooperative education programs. For example, you could be going to mechanic school, you could be going to beauty school at the same time, and you would graduate with a professional license or with a professional degree or certification, as well as your high school diploma. And now we're seeing this happening in the healthcare field. I consider this to be good news. Practical nurses are absolutely in demand. And once you have your practical nursing license and you get some experience, there are schools that have bridge programs that will allow you to do an accelerated program to become registered nurses. Again, very much in demand, good paying jobs. They're stressful, I'm not saying that they're not, But I think that this kind of program is all for the good. It benefits society. Yeah, trade school, exactly. It benefits society. It benefits the kids. It gives them money in their pocket, particularly if you got a kid who's not necessarily academically inclined, but you can say, hey, we're going to put you in this training program. You get out of school. You will be able to get out and work. You're going to have some coins in your pocket. And when you graduate from high school, you've got something that will get you a job. And then you can make decisions about college or anything else later on. And meanwhile, the community has healthcare workers and oftentimes people that they already know.
Yeah, my sisters did that. They did co-op in high school, right? Where you would go to school half day and then you'd go to a job every
Yeah.
day. And it depended, some of it was retail and stuff like that. But for healthcare workers, that's key, especially if you're serious about trying to have universal health care for everybody. Because if you're going to have universal health care for everybody, you're going to need a plethora of doctors and nurses and all kinds of healthcare people for that demand. Because if we're able to do that, if we're able to have like Medicare for all, you're going to see a lot of people come out of the woodwork that never would go to the doctor. Now they'll be coming out getting treatment. So you're going to see a huge influx, and you're going to need all those people.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that this sort of program is 100% the kind of program that I would support, particularly in light of the disruption caused by COVID. Uh, that let's give these kids an incentive to stay in school. And I think that incentive is actually having a credential and actually being able to make some good money. Licensed practical nurses can make very decent money. And as I said, if they go into a bridge program and become RNs, registered nurses, they can do very well for themselves. And also, registered nurses, for example, are in demand worldwide. There are a lot of countries that if you are a registered nurse in, say, in Great Britain, the US, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, believe me, they want you. And you can get a visa to many other countries. They'll be happy to hire you.
And a lot of people, who are getting up in age and getting ready for retirement and don't want to go to the home, as it were. They don't want to go to some sort of facility that takes care of you, which no knock on them. There are some quality ones, but there's a lot more that want to rather be treated at home, and you're going to need more home health care aides as well to help out with that. The amount of people who'll be wanting that,
And there are people who are trained as home health care aides, and they do wonderful work. But a licensed practical nurse has a more advanced training.
Mm-hmm.
They have more clinical training, and they are able to not necessarily diagnose, but they can look around, they can look for symptoms, they can take records. They have a much higher level of training. And as a result, they're in a good position to work for, say, a home health care service, because they could be supervising nurses' aides or medical assistants, and they can also provide more specialized care to clients who need it. So there's just, the sky's the limit when it comes to this credential, and to see that they're able to do this, not go into student loan debt, and to come out with and have money where they can start earning money right away. It's a good deal for everyone.
Yeah. And when we I think I've talked about this with some friends before, like why they took home ec out of high school, right? I mean, home
Not
ec,
good.
like, so it had so many practical uses for everybody now, right?
It did. It was critically important, as was shop.
Shop too. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they took out these courses that had a huge impact on making people more self-sufficient.
Exactly.
Home
Yes.
economics was it was launched by feminists who wanted to show women's value in a time of industrialization.
Right.
And but the people, boys and girls were learning incredibly valuable skills. Sewing, we had sewing. There was cooking, and then if you took a shop class, or if you took basic electronics, you learned how to do these things. You would know how to do them on your own.
Personal budgets too. You'd learn how to do personal
Yeah,
budgets for your own self, And that's the thing. It's like if people learn what a personal budget is, they may understand how different it is than it is like the budget of the United States government uses. It's a totally different system, But your personal budget is different. But a lot of kids don't know that. They don't know about budgeting and stuff like that. But as these prices keep going,
hey,
everybody gonna learn how to budget.
would anybody be interested in it? Just a little quick little show of hands here. Would anybody be interested in some of Auntie Lanny's struggle meals, where I show you how I dive bomb the clearance sections at grocery stores and pre-make a bunch of meals for pennies? If you want to see
I
some
think
videos of me doing that, I would love to do them for you if you're interested.
you should totally do that. Like point out different kinds of places that you're going to and stuff, and the stuff that you're getting at these places.
And I can show you how I prepare it.
Look, folks, clearance is where it's at.
Clearance is where it's at, man. My best coup so far down here was right after Easter. I got a half ham, 9-pound half ham on the bone for $4.50.
Mm,
I cannot tell you how many meals I made out of that thing.
yeah.
All right. So I'm going to do some struggle meals. We're going to put it on the Undercurrent. This is not going to be a culinary channel, but it is going to be news you can use and investigative reporting. And I'm going to do my investigative reporting, showing people how they can make tasty meals, have them prepped so that they can bring them to work, or they can have them in the freezer. And I will show you how to do that. We're going to get it started, Uncle Warren.
You teasing me with a culinary channel. I don't want it no more. All right, I'm fine. All right, we got to move on here. So college radio, like doing some Beastie Boys, they're fighting for its right.
Yeah. Okay, so here's where it's getting a lot of fun around here. Essentially, you heard my report the other week about what happened with this historic college radio station, that there was a backdoor deal where the university, Cleveland State University's administration effectively handed over the station to a local nonprofit that runs public media outlets. And this was done under the table. The students were not really made aware of what was going on. They disrupted. The students were told about this over a Zoom call by a university administrator. The school's programming, their transmitter uplink was cut mid show. A young man was doing his thing. The young jock was doing his thing. He was cut mid sentence, and the students who ran this place and had been doing so for a very long time actually were escorted from the building by campus police. The funny thing is that and this happened on National College Radio Day. It was absolutely disgusting. And the funny thing about it is that the organization, and I forgive me, but the name escapes me right now, that had taken over the station. They have their own independent newsroom. Their own independent newsroom is being very critical of their parent organization on this. So this fight is not over. We've been hearing from a lot of people on this particular issue. People are outraged. The community is outraged, and there's internal dissent on what's been happening here. It really is a situation that is continuing, and we need to be vocal about this. And let Cleveland State know that they really messed this one up.
Idea Stream Public Media is,
and they changed it to a light jazz.
Jazz Neo. It says right here, Jazz Neo. That means new jazz.
It was just it's just been a disgrace. Letting y'all know that I am keeping tabs on this story. This fight is not over. And this is not the way that you treat your young people, and it certainly isn't the way that you treat media outlets, independent media outlets. And it really was. It was a student-run station. The money for the station came from student activity fees, and it was a student organization that was running this.
Well, you obviously are discriminate against the light jazz community, who obviously clamored for this change to happen. Don't be so selfish, you non-light jazz listening to person, you. How dare I said good day.
I'd rather listen to Dead Air than Kenny G. I stand by my statement.
Isn't that the same thing? But
Ooh.
Mary, get me some more sticks. I broke that one. Yeah. I mean, why do you have college radio if it's not for the students? If it's for some dumb light jazz bull pookie, bull hockey.
It's for the community as well. They had a lot of community programming, and in times of disaster, I mean, I've heard college stations do this in the midst of disaster because they have they're low power transmitters. They can provide hyper local transmissions to exactly the people who need that hyper local information. Right. And so, it's you've got local news on there. You've got local people who are a part of this. Oh, thank you so much. I love being your best auntie. I do love it. I do love it. Thank you so much.
Why light jazz though? Who is the brain?
Because they're dunderheads.
Yeah, I mean, who says
they're dunderheads?
As a program director of
give me some Coltrane.
You're like, I'm at a college. This is a college radio station for college students. What do all college students like? Like jazz. Of course. For it was foretold in the tea leaves that Kenny G would come to campus.
Sun Ra, give me some Space is the Place.
All would come
Afrofuturism. Give me take Dave Brubeck. I mean, I don't care.
Marietta, you are telling. She said most jazz people are cokeheads. Actually, they're more stoners, but the ones that are psycho, they might be a little cokey.
All right. Auntie Laney needs to settle herself down. Uncle Warren, we got something else coming up.
Yeah. Cool your jets, lady. You crackpot. Yeah, try pronouncing this the author of this title of this one. I dare you. So what we got up here? We got what the government shutdown means for SNAP, WIC, and disability programs. Yes, so this is all federally funded stuff.
Okay, I chose this particular source because it has some good concrete information in it. This is the stuff that I would like to see you all sharing with your friends, social media, email, whatever, so they know what is going down. So it explains the government shutdown, but very specifically, in this case, it's addressing the issue of the food programs that are part of the federal government. So there's SNAP, also known as food stamps. It has a different name in some other states as well as WIC. That's the Women, Infants, and Children's program that provides basic foodstuffs for children and infants under the age of 5, as well as pregnant and nursing mothers. The issue is that there has been some conversation that I've heard, some scuttlebutt, that the federal government is talking about ending these programs. I think they're just playing around with that. But for right now, yes, benefits could possibly be cut. I also remember during one of the last shutdowns, one of the problems is that the money was there for these programs, but there was not the money for the states to process new applicants to these programs. And I remember at one point there were some tribal governments that actually said, okay, we will process the applications because they have money from different sources that was still coming in, and they were willing to do this. But you need to be aware that this is, again, these programs, WIC and particularly SNAP, are political footballs. as I've discussed in the past on this show and on Civically Minded. But it's critical to keep in mind that it may be harder to apply for benefits, to appeal a denial of benefits, to correct a mistake that's being made in benefits. That can all be happening. My opinion is that they're probably going to restrict eligibility, which I reported on, I believe it was last week, if not the week before. But I have a feeling that they're not necessarily going to cut these programs entirely, but access could be impacted at this point. People should be aware of it and pay attention.
And it's really dumb too, because SNAP and cash assistance too, in particular, like, oh, well, they're just going to spend it on dumb stuff. No, there's only particular things you can spend that money on. And it also goes back into your community to help your local businesses that sell food and other items that you need with the cash assistance that you can get, like toothpaste and stuff like that. So to deny people these benefits like that, what you're doing is you're denying these communities another influx of income for them.
Yeah.
Right. Obviously you'd like to have people prosper, but if people aren't prospering, at least you're supplementing them with being able to eat and pay for some basic necessities with the cash assistance, like I said, and that goes mostly back into the local communities.
Yeah, it goes right directly back into the local communities. People are getting they have a certain amount they can spend on their little card, and it's oftentimes not very much. They go in, it goes right back into the community, right back into community grocery stores, keeps those grocery stores going. But, and in food deserts, it's absolutely critical. Okay, we have over here. Yeah. Lainey, no jobs, no food, no health care. MAGA, yeah. Let's make America healthy again.
Like for real.
Like for real, yeah. That's
yeah. None of this bullshit healthy. Like for real healthy. Yeah. So I that's one that always just I could never figure out why especially particularly during the pandemic, you would think that money would be flooding into SNAP and cash assistance, as well as these other programs as well. I mean, they put some into some programs, but and they did the top off for unemployment. I remember that. That was a
yeah,
Trump
but that was
thing.
an election year.
And that was an election year, yeah, because right after the election,
yeah, there we go.
There you go. So you got another one here. What about AI chatbots? What is this?
Well, remember what I reported on? This is one of the continuing things I reported on, how Meta is using your chatbot convos to target ads and content to you. And I warned people. We warned people. What you put into a chatbot, what you're discussing there, does not necessarily remain private. This is not necessarily a private conversation.
Right.
And it can be used in all kinds of ways. Well, here, let's say you're just having to talk, you're having a conversation with a chatbot. Maybe you're working on a book. Maybe you're just curious. Maybe you're in a bad mood. Maybe you're tripping balls. And that could be used against you in a criminal trial. And we know how wonderful our criminal justice system is here if you don't have the money to hire a bunch of lawyers. Be careful what you say. The bottom line is this: if you have a criminal case or even a civil case against you, and somebody gets a hold of your chatbot conversations, we're looking at a future where that could be used against you. And if it's something like, if it's something involving unaliving somebody or threatening to do so, that could absolutely be used against you.
Well, yeah, you have they check your phones, they check your social media, they check out all that. So I mean, and that's just another extension of it's browser based. I mean, you have apps that do it, but there's also the browser based AI too that they could easily access as well. And it's just another avenue of information for them, another insight about you, particularly whatever they're trying to get you to talk to you about or to prosecute you about. So
Yeah.
um
By
yeah,
the
be
way,
careful.
Chuck, these are fighting words about waffle fries. And I may, as I've said, I neither confirm nor deny my relationship to General Warmonger, but I might try to tag her on X and let her know about your next movements.
Yeah. Oh, you done messed up now, Chuck. She has lethal aim too. You know why? Because she eats waffle fries, and that's what helps with her aim.
Yeah.
What happened? So, yeah, I mean, obviously these things. I mean, it could be like one of those things where it's a trap, kind of thing. General Akbar comes on there and tells you it's a trap. Yeah, because you don't want to put like too sensitive information in there. Uh, like I said, I use it for like more technical type stuff. If I mostly speak in generalities when I'm talking about stuff that I need information about, and then oftentimes it'll say, oh yeah, it's this, and that's not true, and you tell them no, that's not true. It's supposed to be this, and they go, oops, oopsie sauce, I didn't know that. They try to be all friendly and stuff. It's like, no. So you got to be careful too, because they're wrong sometimes.
Yeah.
You have to double check everything. Double check.
Double
What is
check.
it? Measure twice, cut once.
All right.
All right.
And then we got some more. We got the press pond.
Oh yeah, hang on a second.
We got a lot of lily pads in that press pond.
The press pond. Yes, indeed. Let's get to the press pond here. Who is this? Bob Ross. What's up with Bob Ross here?
Well, what happened is, of course, now they're defunded the Corporation Public Broadcasting, and so now public stations are now having to do a lot more fundraising, and they're using they're auctioning off some of Bob Ross's paintings. He made his career on public television, and so it seems quite sensible at this point that they're auctioning off his paintings. One thing I do want to mention about this is, I mean, we can make criticisms of of public broadcast stations. Many of them are very much in the pockets of corporate media, of corporate corporations who are the big donors. But here's the thing: in a lot of small towns, rural areas, public stations are a lifeline. TV and radio, they really are that lifeline. That they bring in programming like Sesame Street. They bring in news and information and documentaries and things like that to these communities. And I'm kind of being a little bit lighthearted here with the Bob Ross paintings, but just gives you an indication of, if you live in an urban area, we're spoiled for choice when it comes to media. That's not the case in rural communities. And this is where we are. We're auctioning off Bob Ross paintings to fund.
Yeah, and even in the rural areas, some people are like, well, I got satellite TV. I get all that. Well, not everybody's got satellite TV either. Especially in the rural areas. I still see 2025. I still see antennas outside of people's houses. Very interesting there. And they should fund public television. Bring that back, all right? And stop this arguing about what's woke and what's not, because it's all about helping kids to understand, teach them stuff, right? To get them to enjoy like the arts and music and entertainment and stuff like that. But, I'd be scared to be a little kid growing up today. What about you?
I'm plenty scared. Plenty scared. This is yeah. It's weird. It's deja vu. I mean, we grew up, you and I, because you and I were born 2 weeks apart. We grew up in an age where we thought we were going to be bombed. We're all going to be nuked, and then that fear just went away, and then all of a sudden, deja vu.
Yeah, I know. It was like a fear sandwich, right? We got fear, bookended fear, and in the middle, not so much fear. It's crazy. And it was all Sesame Street and just fun stuff, and we didn't have a care in the world. Then we started learning stuff, and well, that all ended. all that sweetness ended. So
Yeah.
Meanwhile, we got Pete Exit. He's changing the Pentagon press policy
Yeah.
again.
He said the defense secretary demanded that reporters agree by 5 p.m. Tuesday to a new policy under which they would need to pledge to not obtain or use any unauthorized material, even if the information is unclassified, or hand over their press badges in the next 24 hours.
What?
Yeah.
That's so stupid.
So every major television network, wire and publication and radio outlet has gone on the record saying their reporters have refused to sign the policy. ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, the Associated Press, Reuters, Bloomberg News, New York Times, the Washington Post, the Wall Street Journal, the Guardian, the Atlantic, Financial Times, the Economist, I happen to know, NPR, the Hill and its sister network News Nation have also declined to sign. I believe Newsmax, several right-leaning news organizations, including Fox News, Washington Times, and Newsmax, have balked at the policy. The lone outlet that agreed to the rule as of Tuesday evening is One America News Network.
Oh yeah, One America. Own.
So basically, the Pentagon has just decided that it's gone rogue.
Mm-hmm.
The Pentagon's gone rogue. That it is no longer accountable to the media. The media, which was established in the Bill of Rights as a critical institution in our system. And you were talking about failed states earlier, Uncle Warren.
Yeah, when your military is basically telling you what you can and cannot say about them, and they're a government entity, that's a no. You can't do that. You can't tell people if they don't like what you're reporting on them, that's or they won't let you have access. It's government. We're going to have access to it, whether Hegseth likes it or not.
Yeah.
It's not up to him to deny people press freedom, especially about the military that spends $1 trillion a year.
Yeah. I mean, they're saying you can't even use, even if the information is unclassified, it's unclassified information, and they're whining. They're whining about it.
Yeah. You got to give you permission to use it. And it's like, no, that's not how that works.
No, it isn't.
That's not how the press works.
All right.
But see, that's what they're doing. They're twisting this stuff like this. They're trying to push people and trying to see what they'll take. And if you'll take it, they'll put that little stopgap there, to make sure you don't fall back on that position. And then they'll keep pushing and pushing and pushing. So, you got one more here.
And I got this woman gives me the creeps.
Oh, Kristi Noem.
Yeah.
Airports refuse to show Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem video blaming Democrats for government shutdown. Well, I mean, do you really need that at the airport?
We don't need it at the airport. And
look at these zombie people. She's like,
we don't need that. I mean, it's bad enough seeing the occasional Fox News in the airport lounges. And it's not, look, I consider myself to be alt-centrist when it comes to political orientation. I'm not a progressive. I'm sure as hell not a liberal. But I consider myself to be an alt-centrist and a communitarian in the Christian tradition, but that's another story for another time. Nobody needs to see this crap at the airport. I mean, her ads about self-deportation, encouraging self-deportation, annoy me enough. But the idea of putting this stuff in the airports, and I say good on the airports for saying enough, although it does. Again, we're not. I'm looking at this. I'm looking at National Guard members, troops being brought into other states. This ain't looking good, Uncle Warren.
No, and you don't need this dumb stuff here at the airports either. Right. She says in the video, it's TSA's top priority to make sure that you have the most pleasant and efficient airport experience as possible while we keep bashing Democrats. While we keep you safe, according to MSNBC. However, Democrats in Congress refuse to fund the federal government And because of this, many of our operations are impacted, and most of our TSA employees are working without pay, says Noam, whose department oversees the TSA. Yeah, this is just blatant propaganda, trying to get people to keep them divided, right? Keep them
The
in the.
TSA is perfectly capable. Well, it was until they cut their funding. But the point, they stop paying their people. But the point is that it's perfectly capable of letting people know at the airports what needs to happen. The airports, the airport management can do that. We don't need the Department of Homeland Security further terrorizing people who are just trying to get from one place to another.
Yeah, that's basically it's terrorism.
Yeah,
Because
they're,
fear
they're just
controls
trying to
people.
scare everybody, and they're trying to upset people. And here's the thing: there's this whole thing with air rage, with people, people crashing out at airport gates, at security, inside airplanes. This is only going to exacerbate that. People
Mhm.
are already stressed out. You know this, I know this. I travel a little bit. I've seen it. It's not good. We see it on social media. People just crashing out everywhere. This kind of crap is only going to contribute to that. We don't need people raising tensions in an airport.
Exactly, and that's exactly what that's designed to do. So,
Yeah.
so major airports in New York, Nevada, New Jersey, Oregon, and elsewhere reportedly are refusing to air a video in which she blames Democrats. The TSA sent requests to airports to air the video on screens near security lines. Yeah, because that's always good. And then that's what she said there. Yeah, that's the last thing we need is more aggravation in public spaces, right? Well, guess what
Yeah.
that leads to? You know what that leads to? That
Yeah.
leads to the old unaliving of people, as you said earlier.
Or
Yeah.
just fisticuffs. I mean, it doesn't have to
Or
involve unaliving. It could just be fisticuffs. But
or
the point
yeah,
is, and
yeah,
if people get more stressed, they're more tense and less civilized. We have less uh, civil intercourse where people are actually behaving themselves, and instead we get people snapping at each other. And again, contributes to that whole failed state thing. Mark my words.
right. When you're not getting paid enough yet, all the prices of things that you need are sky high, and
Yeah.
you can't afford a home of your own. You can't afford the things that your boomer grandparents or great grandparents had talked about. Everything cost a nickel, and college was free, and I could fly, and all this stuff. So nobody wants to hear that stuff anymore, because that stuff is not going to be happening anytime soon. Yes, you were
Yes.
saying.
No, I think we need to wrap this up with some fun stories.
Oh yeah, if you like getting your liquor stolen, if you think that's fun, there, you crazy. How dare you? You want to take this one?
Yeah, okay. So this is actually, I mean, if you're interested in capers, this is not one of these social media stories. It's not one of these clickbait sites. This is actually a logistic transport topics. This is a logistical blog, and apparently Guy Fieri's tequila was stolen en
Mm.
route. Effectively, what apparently happened uh, that thieves were able to forge carrier identities, spoofed GPS data to make a load of tequila look like it was going one place when it was actually going somewhere else. The shipment of 24,000 bottles disappeared after crossing the US Mexico border in Laredo, Texas. It was bound for a Santos Spirits warehouse in Lansdale, Pennsylvania, but never arrived. The company's logistics partner hired a carrier that rebrokered the job to another firm, which turned out to be fictitious.
Mm.
They forged documents, phony email accounts, and fake phone numbers to make them appear legitimate, and then basically were able to take the load and divert it to, well, parts unknown. They were able to recover 11,000 bottles in a Southeast
Ooh.
LA warehouse. The second truck and its cargo remain missing. Well, we know where it is.
Yeah, they found out it was his tequila, and they're like, "Okay, we'll take this back."
Yeah.
Have you ever had any of that tequila?
No, I'm not a tequila person.
How dare you?
I'm a wine girl.
You can be both. You can cross over. That's terrible about Guy Fieri's
I know, but
stolen
I
tequila.
think it's fascinating because it's on an industry blog. This is not, not just a funny story. It's on an industry blog because they were able to use technology to create a fictitious company who was working what was supposed to be a reliable third-party contractor. They instead were working with a company that did not exist, that was able to forge GPS to make it look like the shipment was on time, and then they got it somewhere else and then sold it.
This sounds like a reboot of like Smokey and the Bandit. Like that something like
Yeah,
they're trying to
yeah,
steal Guy Fieri's tequila and they had to ship it. But instead of like, like using CBs, they're using like laptops and cell phones and stuff. That'd be terrible. You can't do Smokey and the Bandit without that's just blaspheming. I'm sorry.
yeah. No Burt Reynolds or Sally
No,
Field.
yeah. I mean, come on. Or Jerry Reed. Come on. That's you just I don't even want to hear it. It is that time of year. It's Rocktober. And that means pumpkins. You like pumpkins?
I like pumpkin. I like some little bit of pumpkin spice.
Oh yeah? How about 2,346 pounds of pumpkin spice? Ooh.
The spice must flow.
Yeah, the spice flows here. That's for sure. It's California growers 200,346 pound pumpkin wins world championship. There it is, right there.
That looks like a pumpkin. That pumpkin is just punked all those pumpkins.
Why is this so low?
What is
Look at
that?
That's the So that's the 2,346. It's a fat daddy, right? Look at that. Who picked that? So a California grower's 2,346 pound pumpkin was dubbed the top gourd at the 2025 Safeway World Championship Pumpkin Way Off in Half Moon Bay, California. I was the top gourd last year, but for different reasons. My lawyer says I shouldn't speak about it in public. Santa Rosa man Brandon Dawson, whose 2,465 pound pumpkin was the runner up in 2024's Way Off, took the top spot at this year's event. Travis Geinger, who last year's contest with a 2,471 pound pumpkin, said the pumpkin he attempted to grow for this year's Way Off ended up splitting earlier in the season, so he attended the 2025 event to cheer on his friends as a spectator. Holy shnikes. Dawson was awarded $21,114. $9 per pound of delicious pumpkin. Right? Big ass pumpkin. I love those big ass pumpkin contests, but that's a life right there. You got to be all up in that life.
You do.
Because it ain't like growing a house plant, like you're growing. But you know what? I think I'm gonna grow some thyme, maybe some mint,
rosemary and sage.
I just put it on my little back window. So you cannot put 2,346 pounds on your back windowsill and expect to have a back windowsill anymore. Can you guess the top pumpkin producing state? Wherever Charlie Brown is.
Yeah.
Because that's where the pumpkin patch is.
That's where the great pumpkin is. Number 3 is Pennsylvania.
Number 3 is Pennsylvania. All right.
Number 2 is Indiana.
I'm going to say number 1's Illinois. I'm going to say Illinois because I'm a homer. Come on,
Michigan?
Chuck.
It is Illinois. Hey! Uncle Warren was right.
We about that pumpkin life. We about that pumpkin life. We about that pump. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Pumpkin. This is me lifting a big ass pumpkin over my head. 2,346 pounds of pumpkin deliciousness. All right. That was silly. But that was fun stuff. I'm glad we ended on a high note because the rest of that stuff was kind of bleak.
Yeah. It was really bleak.
Just a tad bleak.
No, we ended with pumpkins and tequila.
Pumpkins and tequila, exactly the way nature intended. We should have some more pumpkin-y goodness throughout the month of October. We got 2 more of these, 2 more in October, and then it's November, and then
Then we're getting into we had pumpkin. Then we got the pumpkin pies.
Yeah, but it's not October anymore. Once it gets past October 31st, it's like.
But Uncle Warren, I'm going to be in Chicago in November too, so it's going to be.
No, that's going to be good. That's going to be fun. That's fun stuff. No, I like the November through December, and then you get past the holidays, and then you got winter without anything in it. The January, February, you're just like
our birthdays. Oh man, we're going to have to do some kind of a birthday celebration like midway between our birthdays, Uncle Warren.
I know, right?
Because we're both turning that crazy age.
I know. Heinz 57 sauce. It's coming.
Oh, we're going to have some fun with this one. Yeah, we're going to have a Warren and Laney birthday party. Uncle Warren, Auntie Laney.
We're going to get boozed up. And there's going to be hula girls from when I was back in the Navy. You remember them broads? They come out there with their skirts. They do. I got a hat for that somewhere around here. Anyway, all right.
I love you, Uncle Warren. Yeah, we got to get out of here. But look, folks, I just put it in the chat. Our Undercurrent for you link tree. You can find all of our information. If you need to send us a secure news tip, go to the Proton mail. Otherwise, you can just send to our regular mail. Do subscribe to our Substack because you will get a notification about the upcoming show at 7 a.m. Central Time every Wednesday, and you will have a list of all of our outlets as well as all links to all of our stories.
Please, for the love of God, oh God, please.
Please. Please.
Yeah, sorry I wasn't on yesterday. I had things to do, but that's all right. I knew today was coming. So it's always a pleasure to do the show with you.
I love working with you, Uncle Warren. It's a good show. We got some really great folks in the audience. I really appreciate y'all coming out for us.
Yeah,
and please do like, share, and subscribe. If you're not subscribed, please do share the show and hit that like button, hit that ring bell button so you get notifications. We really appreciate it. It does a lot for us.
Yeah, it's subscribe to the Substack. It's free. And you get all the links to all the stories we were talking about today here on the Undercurrent. Any other final thoughts? Anything else there, Laney P?
We got a lot going on, Uncle Warren. We got a lot of talking to do. Want to hear from our folks about what they want us to do on this show so that we can serve them at this time.
That's what we're here for. Mm-hmm. We're eastbounded. Watch those bandit run. Tying it all together. Peace out, everybody. Happy October.
Right. Woo!